on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
And joining me tonight, Dr. Sudhanshu Trivedi, Member of Parliament and National Spokesperson of the BJP, Sushil Pandit, activist, Aarti Tikku, senior journalist, both from Kashmir. Also joining me tonight, Majid Haidri, political analyst, Atikur Rahman, Islamic scholar. But my first question goes to Sheikh Amir, leader of the Congress party. I want to ask you, Sheikh Amir, have you seen this working group report and what it says? It wants international experts to decide on the problem of Kashmir. It wants unconditional dialogue. That is what was suggested, word to word dictated by Yasin Malik. And you know who is Yasin Malik? A man who had 61 cases against him, all under tada or murder, and who himself had admitted to murdering and killing 4 Indian Air Force personnel, officers. I want to ask you, Sheikh Amir, if this is not a betrayal, what is?
Thank you very much, Navika. See, again and again, you are coming on the same. I feel like I'm audible.
Yes, you are.
Let me tell you, in 2004, the Deputy Prime Minister of India, LK Advani, met Professor Abdul Ghani Lone, Mirwaiz Umar Farooq, Bilal Lone, the very dear friend of Prime Minister Modi, Mr. Sajjad Lone's brother. And after that, a statement came from LK Advani that amicable solution will be a solution to the Kashmir issue, and all those prisoners who have been arrested, not of heinous crimes, will be all released. Nobody talk about that. I haven't seen a single statement coming from any leader or from any debate of yours that this thing was discussed in every debate. There's a pattern that Congress has been attacked, and this movie has been promoted in a way. This hate and BJP leaders are there. What they are actually doing. They are posting.
Sheikh Amir, do you think this is about the promotion of a movie? Do you think the movie is about commercial business alone? Do you think the Kashmiri Hindus did not get displaced? Do you think that they were not killed? Do you think there wasn't a genocide? I want to ask you, are you going to just talk about a film and its commercial success?
Hey, why don't you answer about LK Advani?
Well, why should I answer? Dr. Sudhanshu Trivedi, Dr. Sudhanshu Trivedi, Sheikh Amir's only explanation to these documents is, he says LK Advani said similar things, met separatists, and on the other hand, he says that, this is about the commercial success of a film. I want to ask you, when a man who chairs a working group suggests these things and then goes on to become the vice president of this country for 2 terms and suggests unconditional dialogue with militants and word to word believes and accepts what Yasin Malik says, what are we looking at?
I'm unable to understand about what context and what statement of Sri Advani Ji is talking about. He's referring the year 2004, and in 2004 the election held, and the election started from the month of January. Okay, let me, if he can tell the which month. But I would like to say what Advani Ji has done. 10 years before the BJP government came in power, since 1988, even the governor of Jammu Kashmir was not having authority to hoist the flag at Lal Chowk. After a gap of 10 years, on 26th of January 1999, for the first time, the governor has hoisted the flag in Srinagar when Advani Ji became Home Minister and Atal Ji became Prime Minister. That's what we brought to Kashmir. And the biggest crackdown on militants started at that time. Now, coming to this time, I would just like to ask, you are taking these statements. I am giving you the statements of Congress party leader. Saifuddin Soz was the president of Congress party of Jammu Kashmir. Nobody can claim to be taller than the party president. And he is in book has said, Kashmir ko Bharat se alag ho jana chahiye. What action Congress has taken? Afzal Guru was hanged by Congress government. And Shashi Tharoor Manishankar Iyer has officially tweeted in favor of Afzal Guru. Why it has happened? Afzal Guru's sentence was done in 2006. Why it took 7 years? Everybody understands. And at the time, National Conference or PDP was not in the power. It was Congress in the power. And Ghulam Nabi Azad Sahab as the Chief Minister of Jammu Kashmir has come for the clemency. For 7 years the thing was remaining. अब आप ये बताइए, अरे सुनिए तो पूरा सेंटेंस सुन लीजिए, फिर किस पार्टी के नेता ने कहा कश्मीर में कार्रवाई होने पर कि भारत की सेना के अध्यक्ष को सड़क छाप गुंडा का? अब बोलिए ना, भटके हुए नौजवान पत्थर वाले, अफजल हालात का मारा याकूब मेनन की जुडिशियल किलिंग, कश्मीर को भारत से अलग हो जाना चाहिए, और भारत की सेना का अध्यक्ष सड़क छाप गुंडा. क्या कंपैरिजन कर रहे हैं आप? आई चैलेंज यू.
लेट मी कम इन.
किसी भी दूसरी पार्टी का कोई ऐसा स्टेटमेंट बताइए. हाफ अ डजन आई हैव कोटेड.
त्रिवेदी, लेट मी कम इन. सी the way you are talking is simple. Let me tell you, the way you said that which month, it was January 2004 when Hurriyat leaders Professor Ghani, Bilal Lone, Mirwaiz Umar Farooq met LK, then Deputy Chief Prime Minister of India. I think you yourself don't know about your
you bettered that record, and the Prime Minister himself met with Yasin Malik in 2006. Don't forget that.
Can he show the statement of Advani Ji, what he was talking about? I have quoted the 6 statements of their party leaders. Even in the book in which they are saying that Kashmir should be separated from India.
But, you know, while you find the exact quote, my question to you, Sheikh Amir, my question to you is, when you say you want international experts to solve the problem of Kashmir, and when you say there should be unconditional dialogue with militants as stated by Yasin Malik in February, the same reproduced in May of 2006, what does this show? Who's dictating the policies of Dr. Manmohan Singh's government? I want to ask you, and I want an answer from you. Yasin Malik dictated the policy of the Janeudhari Kashmiri Rahul Gandhi party called Congress? I want to ask you, Sheikh Amir, answer that question.
Please give me 1 minute to answer you. You are talking about foreign international intervention. Our post-abrogation 370, what happened? The foreign delegations were invited to, foreign ambassadors were invited to Kashmir for what? What was the need to invite them? It was the internal issue. It was the it was constitutionally abrogated by the Indian Parliament. What was the need to bring foreign ambassadors to Kashmir? What was the need to bring them in? And what were the?
I'll tell you what the need was. See, because there was a narrative that was being built, you know, in the world fora.
The narrative of spreading is coming.
No, why?
The narrative.
They were not asked to give their. They were not asked to give their views on how the Kashmir problem had to be solved. They came just to see Kashmir. They visited Kashmir. Where is the problem in that? I want to ask you, Sushil Pandit, you know, is there whataboutery in the answers that has been given by Sheikh Amir and Sushil Pandit? I want to ask you. 1 minute, Sheikh Kashmir. 1 minute, Sheikh Amir. Sheikh Amir, just pipe down. You have no answers to give on this document, so just calm down. Till you find your answers, let me ask Sushil Pandit. What does this document really expose?
This document exposes a nexus between the state of India, the government of India, and jihad, which was prevailing in Kashmir. And state of India outsourcing their Kashmir policy to jihad. That is what this document exposes absolutely clearly. The fact that first Yasin Malik meets a large delegation led by the Prime Minister, that includes the NSA, that includes the Home Minister, that includes several other interlocutors, and then you have a working group which recommends several steps. A dialogue with insurgents, jihadis, and the same politics gets reflected in uninterrupted and uninterruptible dialogue with Pakistan, their mothership. So Indian state must keep a dialogue going with gun-wielding jihadis in Kashmir and must also have a dialogue with a state that is bleeding us through 1,000 cuts, uninterrupted and uninterruptible. This is how they wanted to bring Indian state to its knees. Instead of fighting back, instead of routing jihad from Kashmir, you were trying ways and means of accommodating them. And through SRO 43, they were also trying to compensate the victims of encounters. Terrorists killed in encounters were supposed to be paid compensation.
5 lakh rupees,
And
jobs and reservations in jobs, all mentioned in this document. And Kashmiri Pandits may be given jobs, but militants must be given jobs. And they should
not a dime of compensation for any Kashmiri Hindu life lost till date, 32 years. No compensation for the family of Sarla Ganju or Girija Tikku. No compensation for the family of Neelkant Ganju or Premnath Bhatt. No compensation for all the homes and lands left behind. Not a dime. But these militants and their families were offered compensation, were offered jobs on compassionate grounds. And not just this. The point is, all their crimes were simply given clemency. No cases were followed. Not a single crime was prosecuted. Not a single victim was given justice till date. 32 years we are waiting. And these FIRs are pending. It is today that Supreme Court has admitted our curative petition. Thank God for this Supreme Court that is now trying to redeem its own reputation that went into tatters in 2017 when they rejected to even admit our petition for the same FIRs. That is the level of complicity the state has had with jihad in Kashmir. We were abandoned as nobody's children. We were abandoned as no victims. Our victimhood was denied. Our genocide was denied. And these genociders were treated like sons-in-law. They were treated with kid gloves. Hundreds of crores every year were spent on them. And when they would come to Pakistan High Commission for the celebrations of the National Day of Pakistan, you had to see, Navika, their cavalcade from Palam. They would go like heads of state with cars after cars and jeeps of police following them and preceding them pilot. They would look like a huge caravan that a head of state deserved when he visited the capital of India. This is the level of legitimacy provided to jihad in Kashmir.
I want to ask you, Majid Haidri, doesn't that shame you? Doesn't that shame this entire country? What was happening then? And here, the same Congress, Kerala Congress, which tweeted and said that there were more Muslims who left Kashmir than there were Hindus. Here in this report, they say 90% of Kashmiri Pandits from Kashmir Valley have left. There were also some Kashmiri Muslims and Sikhs who suffered. So 90% admission is here. And in another place, they say 3.5 lakh Kashmiri Hindus have left Kashmir and gone. और आज पूछ रहे हैं, हुआ क्या था? जो भी गया अपनी मर्जी से गया. There was no exodus. I want to ask you, Majid Haidri, how much of doublespeak, how much of lies have been spoken over the last 32 years? And I want to ask you, what? What for? For killing and removing Hindus from the state of Jammu and Kashmir?
Navika Saiba, because this Kashmiri Pandit, so first a couplet for them. सुरमा समझ के आपको आंखों में दी जगह, आंसू समझ के हमको नजर से गिरा दिया. Navika Saiba, at least Congress had...
आरती टिक्कू, आंखों में दी जगह सुरमा बना के.
You posed a question for 1 minute, at least give me 30 seconds to reply.
नहीं 30 seconds तो आप 30 years नहीं जवाब दे पाए. उसके ऊपर आप घाव पर नमक छिड़क रहे के सुरमा बनाकर रखा. पलकों पे तो आपको बिठाया कांग्रेस की सरकारों ने, और जो इस तरह की वाहियात रिपोर्ट लिखते हैं वो बने वाइस प्रेसिडेंट for 10 years. Reward.
Navika,
at least.
Navika, this is a typical trait.
At least
this is a typical trait of apologists of terrorism in Kashmir.
30 seconds.
Whether it was Yasin Malik, whether it was Shabir Shah, whether it were their spokies and ideologues within intellectual class of Kashmir, they would always start with a couplet, and it would invariably be a Iqbal couplet or perhaps a couplet from Faiz Ahmad Faiz. So this tactic doesn't wash anything.
Majid Haidri, मरहम ले आइए. आपके शेरो शायरी की जरूरत नहीं है, मरहम चाहिए और इज्जत चाहिए कश्मीरी हिंदुओं की. आप अपनी शेरो शायरी अपने पास रखिए, ये मुशायरा नहीं चल रहा आपका.
ओके मैडम, अब जवाब तो सुनिए. एटलीस्ट कांग्रेस हैड अ फोकस्ड, डेडिकेटेड, फॉर्मल पॉलिसी ऑन कश्मीर. What about BJP policy on Kashmir? Only today CBI
you
said.
Call this a policy?
This is the policy.
You call this
policy of rehabilitation of terrorists. Focus policy of rehabilitation of terrorists is a genuine policy for Majid Haidri. Dr. Sudhanshu Trivedi, focus policy on rehabilitation of terrorists and agreeing to what terrorists were dictating. That was the legitimate policy, Kashmir policy of Congress, which suited people like Majid Haidri. That's what they wanted. Completely exposed today, Majid Haidri, your agenda. This is what suited you. Congress suited you. यही दर्द है जो दिल से जा नहीं रहा कि ये कांग्रेस क्यों चली गई. ये तो अब कश्मीरी हिंदुओं को लाना चाहते हैं.
Because
सीबीआई ने आज क्या कहा? सत्यपाल भी झूठा.
Until 8 years ago, an entire ecosystem, an entire nexus and an entire network was incentivizing crime and terrorism sponsored by Pakistan in Kashmir, and that happened, especially happened under the UPA governments. So it's a travesty and tragedy actually, Majid Haidri, because today Kashmiri Pandit activists and our leadership stand vindicated. I have seen Sushil Pandit Ji, I have seen all my leaders shouting, raising so many demands, protesting on the streets. Some of them even died on the streets while protesting and raising their voice for the community. But today they stand vindicated because finally the truth is out. This is what our leadership had been saying for the last 32 years, that there's a nexus within the system, including bureaucracy, including security establishment, including political parties which were driving this cross-border
फोकस पॉलिसी लग रही है ना. आपको तो ये फोकस्ड पॉलिसी ऑन कश्मीर लग रही है. इस फोकस्ड पॉलिसी में कहा था कि केसेस ऑफ ऑल पर्सन्स इन जेल शुड बी रिव्यूड, जनरल एमनेस्टी गिवन टू ऑल दोज अंडर ट्रायल एंड all cases should be taken back. मैं पूछना चाहती हूँ डॉक्टर सुधांशु त्रिवेदी, was this the Kashmir policy of Congress party that suited jihadis like Majid Haidri? I want to ask you tonight, has that been unmasked tonight?
भाजपा का सत्यपाल भी झूठा, सीबीआई कहती है, मैं नहीं कह रहा.
डॉक्टर सुधांशु त्रिवेदी,
आपने पहले आतंकियों को छोड़ा कंधार में, आपने
Mr. Majid Haidri was asking about what the policy of
Majid Haidri, आपकी चीखें सुनने के लिए इस दुनिया में किसी के पास समय नहीं है, क्योंकि आपने किसी की चीखें नहीं सुन रही थी. आपने किसी की चीखें नहीं सुन रहे, आपने कभी किसी की चीखें नहीं सुनी जो उस वक्त करा रहे थे, भीख मांग रहे थे जिंदगी की, बच्चे अपनी माओ की, तब आपको चीखें सुनाई नहीं दी थी. आज आप चीखना चाहते हैं.
No right to speak before a BJP leader. Yes,
I'm just surprised, Majid. Why are you defending terrorists like Yasin Malik? Why are you apologizing for terrorists like Yasin Malik and Bitta Karate?
Aarti Sahiba,
I am just surprised. I'm just shocked. How can a rational, humane person ever defend it?
When was he a rational, humane person?
Show me one sentence. I have never ever supported.
But you're speaking on their behalf.
2006-7, I must share this with you. Among the Kashmiri Pandit leadership, there was a huge concern because through our sources we heard Sayyid Ali Shah Gilani was telling his colleagues in Kashmiri, the sentence spoken was Yich Amuds Kokur. And so please hold your patience. Amuds Kokur means the goose is almost cooked.
Yes.
So don't upset anything.
This was the goose.
So why
Yes,
don't
The
that was
goose
true.
is almost cooked, so don't take a false step so that there shouldn't be a slip between the cup and the lip. And we were really scared. We didn't know what was cooking. We didn't know what the policy, we didn't know what the decisions, we didn't know what was in the pipeline. We were really scared because there was, on the surface there was peace. There was calm.
Majid Hydari, just keep quiet. I've had enough of your crap. Please just keep quiet and allow people to speak. People who have been bottled up for 32 years deserve their time to speak. Yes, put a finger on your mouth, or even better, just leave. Sushil.
You know, they always tom-tom the time between 2003 and 7. They say that was a peaceful time. You know, there was not much violence, bazaars were opening, offices were functioning, schools were functioning, and this was an incredible time of peace. And we were wondering what's cooking, because this was an eerie peace. Those very people who were in charge of disruption were sitting tight. And we heard Sayyid Ali Shah Gilani, the father figure of jihad in Kashmir. And this was his words which came to us, were communicated to us. Ich amuds kokur, ina ke kariv. This is the goose is almost cooked. Don't take a false step. Just hold on patiently. We are about to just cross the threshold.
Which was?
And we didn't know what was cooking. We were really scared. We were really worried because there was also conversation happening. You know, the Musharraf Accord, you know, the Kashmir plan, making borders irrelevant. It was at that time that PDP had created their own, what they call a self-rule document. In that self-rule document, they had advocated porous borders, open borders. They had advocated joint management of Kashmir with Pakistan. They had advocated currency of Pakistan to run simultaneously with currency of India. And they had advocated Sharia in Kashmir. And this was done when they were in collaboration with Congress ruling Kashmir. Congress was the junior partner. Mufti Muhammad Saeed was the chief minister. This document was written by Muzaffar Beg. Deny this.
Deny this, Sheikh Amir. Deny this if you can.
Navika, what is there to deny?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Point proved. QED. QED. Majid Hydari, who was peddling his lies, has gone away. That empty screen should remind you that legitimate arguments have left these people. They are bereft of any legitimacy. Their goose was almost cooked with this document. And this is what they were waiting for. Dr. Sudhanshu Trivedi, ये है focused Kashmir policy, जिसके दुहाई दी जा रही है.
अभी जो माजिद हैदरी ने पूछा था, यद्यपि वो चले गए हैं, अबाउट द कश्मीर पॉलिसी, आई वुड लाइक टू रिमाइंड जो सुशील पंडित जी ने कहा ना कि उस समय हुर्रियत के नेता आते थे किस जलवाए जलाल के साथ आते थे, लाइक द हेड ऑफ द स्टेट. अब पॉलिसी ये है कि आफ्टर द मोदी गवर्नमेंट हैज कम, अब किसके लिए आते हैं? एनआईए में पेशी होती है. द केस आर रजिस्टर्ड इन एनआईए. अब उसमें अपीयर होने के लिए दिल्ली आते हैं. अब पहले पैसा बड़े जलवे से आता था, पोरस बॉर्डर्स बनाने की बात थी. अब जो पैसा लिया उसके लिए ईडी के मुकदमे दर्ज हैं, ईडी के ऑफिस में पेशी होती है, उसके लिए आते हैं. अब पॉलिसी में अंतर यह है, तब पाकिस्तान तक जाते थे बात करने के लिए. पाकिस्तान से बात करना तो छोड़िए, पाकिस्तान एम्बेसी तो छोड़िए, हमने कभी उनसे बात नहीं की 2014 से आज तक, इंक्लूडिंग गवर्नमेंट विद मुफ्ती मोहम्मद सईद एंड महबूबा. अब मैं आपको बताता हूं इसके बाद पॉलिसी क्या है. मोदी जी ने 2014 में अपनी पहली दीपावली जम्मू कश्मीर की सरहद पर जवानों के साथ मनाई थी. हमारी पॉलिसी यह है, जो मैंने अभी बताया, इससे पहले जब अटल जी की सरकार आई थी तो पहली बार झंडा फहरा था। जब हम अपोजिशन में थे तो लाल चौक पे झंडा फहराने के लिए उस समय डॉक्टर जोशी गए थे और उस यात्रा के संयोजक भी युवा नेता के रूप में मोदी जी थे। और तो और हमारे संस्थापक अध्यक्ष डॉक्टर श्यामा प्रसाद मुखर्जी वो देश के पहले बलिदानी थे जिन्होंने अपना जान दिया कश्मीर के लिए और उस संकल्प को पूरा किया। हम कहते थे जहां हुए बलिदान मुखर्जी वो कश्मीर हमारा है। और हमारा किसने प्रूव किया? जब मोदी जी ने 2019 में आर्टिकल 370 एब्रोगेट किया। तो हमारी पॉलिसी एकदम क्रिस्टल क्लियर है। हां, माजिद हैदरी चले गए तो मैं नाविका जी एक लाइन और कह दूं। इन्होंने बड़ा एक शेर बोला था ना, तो एक लाइन मैं भी कह देना चाहता हूं जो कश्मीरी हिंदुओं और पंडितों की तरफ से, कि अजीब लोग हैं ये, मुद्दतों तक कांटे बोकर जमीन से गुलाब मांगते हैं और हमी को दरिया पे जाने से रोकने वाले हमी से पानी का पूरा हिसाब मांगते हैं। यानी जहां दरिया का मतलब दरिया झेलम समझ लीजिए, जिन्होंने कश्मीरी हिंदुओं पंडितों को वहां जाने नहीं दिया, आज कह रहे तुमने क्या किया, तुमने क्या किया। इसलिए इनकी फितरत अब पूरी तरीके से एक्सपोज्ड है। हमारी पॉलिसी कैटेगोरिकली क्रिस्टल क्लियर है।
Atikur Rahman, I want to ask you.
Come in, please.
Yes, Atikur Rahman. What does this document of 2006 tell you?
Yeah.
The sellout of our Kashmiri Hindus?
No, Navika ji, I cannot carry on with the propaganda you are trying to.
Oh, this is propaganda. Okay.
Before your viewers, because times now viewers cannot be taken for granted for weeks and weeks on this issue. On the issue of Kashmir, Navika ji, if any deliberations are there, the deliberations should talk about restoration of peace and rehabilitation of my Kashmiri Pandit brothers and sisters. Third important point here is, Navika ji, that, am I audible, Navika ji? It's echoing too much.
Audible, visible, and you know, we're hearing what you are saying, even though it doesn't make sense.
The difference between I know, because you need to carry on a propaganda. That's
What
why
is
my
propaganda
words
in
have
this?
no meaning
I
to
want
you.
to ask you,
But at least
Atikur
your
Rahman,
viewers,
showing
your
the
viewers
truth,
are
is
free
that
to
called
hear both
propaganda?
sides.
Exposing
Both sides,
the truth,
Navika ji.
is it called
You are
propaganda?
skirting the
Answer,
issue of one
answer me.
side. You are
आज का
skirting the
ट्वीट
issue
है ना
of
कांग्रेस
one
पार्टी
side.
का
You are
कि वहां से
taking your
कोई
viewers for
अपने आप
granted.
निकल कर चले गए लोग.
You
There was
are
no
taking your
exodus.
viewers
Oh,
for granted.
15 lakh Muslims
Please
left,
don't
only
take your
5
viewers for granted.
lakh Kashmiri Hindus
Times now
left.
viewers are
That was
taken
the
for
propaganda
granted.
that was being peddled.
Don't do
Today
this.
we have
You're
exposed
both sides.
what kind
Even
of
if we are
propaganda
having
was
no
going
meaning
on.
to you,
How clemency
this
to
will
militants,
emerge
how
only as a
compensation to
propaganda on your
militants,
part.
but no
Stop your
admission
propaganda.
of compensation
Stop
or
your
crime
propaganda.
against the Kashmiri
Have
Hindus.
a reasonable debate.
That is the truth. That is not called
Have a
propaganda.
rational
I don't
debate.
think you
And
know your
rationality
English.
only demands
Open your
equality.
dictionary and find out.
Rationality
Showing these
demands
documents
equality,
is
Navika ji.
exposing the truth, not propaganda, Mr. Atikur Rahman.
You are showing only one type of documents. May I reveal some other documents to you?
हाँ,
You show the
दिखाइए
other
ना,
type.
दिखाइए ना.
Yes, I am so thankful to you. Sudhanshu ji, thank you so much. The document number 1 is, by abrogating 370, you are nullifying Kashmiriyat, which was proposed by nobody else but Vajpayee Ji. Second, you cannot nullify
When was
Aman ki
370?
Asha
When
and
was
have a
Vajpayee
muscular
Ji?
approach.
I mean,
Your
what are you
approach
talking?
is
What are
a
you
muscular
connecting?
one.
Are you talking
Where is this document of
the
Kashmiriyat's
one?
linkage with
You need
370
to say
removal?
that if you
Show us
want
the
to
document,
demonize
sir.
The 1990s.
So he's saying that Vajpayee Ji wanted 370. Vajpayee Ji did not want revocation of 370. Where is this document, sir? Where is this document where Vajpayee Ji supported the idea that
Sir, in
Article
every
370 should
election
not be
manifesto of
nullified?
BJP, even during Vajpayee Ji's regime, our commitment unflinchingly for abrogation of Article 370 is there.
Another document.
Show us any document.
And my Aman ki Asha is another
And
document.
how are you linking
Why
Article
don't you
370
weigh
with
them
Kashmiriyat?
properly,
Article
Navika ji?
370
Weigh
actually
them
murdered
rationally.
Kashmiriyat.
Weigh them
If there was any.
Muscular approach does not function.
नहीं, कश्मीरियत तो उस दिन खत्म हुई है अतीकुर रहमान जी।
Russia will not succeed in Ukraine. Muscular approach of the Modi government.
Article 370 was a communal article, sir.
Approaches don't function.
Article 370 was a communal document, communal article in the Indian Constitution. It was discriminatory. How can you say that it was propagating Kashmiriyat? How can you say that it was advocating Kashmiriyat? It was discriminating against women like me who married outside the state. It was discriminating against Dalits. It was discriminated against West Pakistan refugees. It was discriminating against so many other people. It was discriminating against Kashmiri Pandits as a community.
Discrimination, ठीक है. That is focused policy of Kashmir. That is all right. What has to be exposed?
Your deliberations will lead to.
We were massacred. We were subjected to genocide. We were subjected to genocide because of Article 370, and I'm saying this with a lot of responsibility. Article 370 was the instrument that ensured the genocide, the systematic genocide of Kashmiri Pandits since 1947.
Your deliberations on this subject are
Mr. Atikur Rahman,
until peace is
your
restored.
proposition is that if we resist your jihad, there will be breach of peace. So what we must do is roll over and die peacefully. We should not resist jihad. That is what you are saying. Any resistance offered to jihad, any defiance of your violence will lead to breach of peace. So we should surrender, stop living. That is what you are saying.
Now you are talking violence.
If we resist, there will be breach of peace. Is that what you are saying? We should accept your jihad lying down like a doormat. We should not resist your jihad. Is that what you are saying? If we expose your jihad, if we expose your atrocities, there will be breach of peace. You are holding a gun to our heads. You are holding a gun to our heads. You are saying keep quiet. Don't talk about these atrocities. Don't talk about your violence. Don't talk about our genocide. Otherwise there will be breach of peace. Is that what you are saying?
You are sitting elsewhere. You must be sitting in Delhi. You must be sitting in anywhere. But you are not in Kashmir because the political agenda of the BJP is criminal. It is not restoration and rehabilitation of you.
Die, roll over and die and disappear. That is what you are advising us.
No, that is what he's
why
saying.
are you not in Kashmir?
आप 30 साल 32 साल आपको चुप रखा हुआ है. एक फिल्म की वजह से आप बोलने लग गए. आप बोलने लग गए. आप आवाज उठाने लग गए. ये तो कहां से बर्दाश्त होगा इनको?
No, this is what they like. They liked to blackmail the Indian state. They were hobnobbing with certain elements. There was a nexus within the bureaucracy, within political parties, and this is what they liked.
That
they liked to blackmail, and the Indian state would capitulate to all the demands. That is why the Indian state capitulated to Yasin Malik's demand in these documents. This is what they wanted. This is the line of thought and argument that you sir are again advocating today, that the Indian state should capitulate before terrorists, before jihadis, before Islamists, so that this entire Hindu community is wiped out. This is what you are propagating today.
Political expediency demands that if your muscular approach can succeed after 370,
you are in the face of truth. You are threatening violence. I can hear you very clearly. I hear you, sir. I hear you, sir. Because I am telling you about your atrocities, you are threatening violence. You are saying that if you speak about the truth, there will be violence, there will be breach of peace. You are issuing a threat, a naked, brazen threat. You are saying this country will burn if we talk about atrocities. This country will not be in peace if we talk about our genocide.
And this country will not accept the truth that has been hidden for so many years. For years and years, 16 years, these documents were buried. And this document is the focused Kashmir policy of the Congress party. I want you, Sheikh Amir, to answer this question. And Sheikh Amir, terrorists and their dictation in the same words, word to word, is accepted and propagated and suggested and recommended in this working group report. And the people who make this working group report, you know, they are, I think, out of the 13 members, I think 10 or 12 of them are actually, all of them, Muslims. The minority community, the community that faced the backlash of violence in 1990 and in the 80s and subsequently also, the community that was forced to leave Kashmir, hardly any representation. And the man who chairs it, the National Commission for Minorities head, and Hindus were the minorities in Jammu and Kashmir. What did he do for those minorities in Jammu and Kashmir, Sheikh Amir? And how did you reward him? Making him the Vice President of India for 2 terms. That was your focused Kashmir policy. Unmasked today.
What a shame.
Navika, I just need 1 minute uninterrupted time. Please
You've had 32 years uninterrupted.
Please listen to me. You are repeating the same thing since from last 3 debates. Let me tell you, पहले तो सुधांशु जी जिस तरीके से अल्फाजों की सजावट करते हैं तो मैं उनको उन्हीं की ज़बान में उन्हीं
मेरे 3 दिन के डिबेट पे आपको इतनी मुश्किल, आप 32 साल से जो कर रहे हैं.
I request you, आपसे रिक्वेस्ट करता हूं कि मैं, because otherwise I won't be able to communicate जो मैं कहना चाहता हूं.
Oh yeah?
हाँ, ये एक शेर है उन्हीं की तरफ, सुधांशु जी की तरफ करता हूं कि इंसाफ जालिमों, प्लीज लेट मी फिनिश, इंसाफ जालिमों की हिमायत में जाएगा, ये हाल रहा तो अदालत कौन जाएगा, दस्तार नोच नाच के अहबाब ले उड़े, सर बचा है ये भी शराफत में जाएगा. मैं सीधी बात कहना चाहता हूं, यहाँ पर हमारे सुशील जी बैठे हैं, आरती जी बैठे हैं, इनसे ना तो हम लड़ रहे हैं ना इनके खिलाफ हैं, हम एक हैं, इसमें कोई दो राय नहीं है. हाँ, कुछ गलतियां हमसे भी हुई होंगी, कुछ कोताहियां रही होंगी, इसका ये मतलब नहीं है. लेट मी फिनिश प्लीज, लेट मी फिनिश. इन दर्द इनने भी सहा है, दर्द हमने भी सहा है. कत्ल होने से अब हम कब तक डरें, कातिलों के मोहल्ले में घर ले लिया. यहाँ से
कातिलों का मोहल्ला बनाया किसने? कातिलों का मोहल्ला बनाया किसने? आप कह रहे कुछ गलतियां हमसे भी हुई होंगी. शेख आमिर, आपने कहा कुछ गलतियां हमसे भी हुई होंगी. मैं आपसे पूछना चाहती हूं, क्या ये 2006 की रिपोर्ट, क्या यासीन मलिक से वो मुलाकात, वो हाथ मिलाना, वो गले लगाना गलत था? क्या ये गलत
हमारे पास भी काफी रिपोर्ट्स है.
नहीं, ये गलत था या नहीं था? ये गलत था या नहीं था?
You are acting as a spokesperson of Bharatiya Janata Party.
I am the spokesperson. I am the spokesperson of my Kashmiri brothers and sisters who were displaced. I don't need to be a spokesperson of anybody else. But I will raise the voice of my brothers and sisters from Kashmir who had to flee from their houses. Yes, I am their spokesperson and I'm proud to be their spokesperson. You can't take that right away from me. I'm asking you, ये वर्किंग ग्रुप गलत था या नहीं था? ये वर्किंग ग्रुप गलत था या नहीं था?
जो आप दिखाना चाहते हैं, आप जिसमें, that's why I'm telling you कि आप जिस तरीके से वो सामने ला रहे हैं, मैंने
क्या तरीका है
आपसे बात किया,
क्या तरीका है? अल्फाज क्लियर है यहाँ. May I read it for our audiences today? An unconditional dialogue process should be started with militant groups for finding a sustainable solution to the problem of militancy in the state. Unconditional dialogue process. And that was the statement made by Yasin Malik. I will play that again. Listen to Yasin Malik and then compare it with this recommendation of this working group. Hear Yasin Malik for yourself.
मुझे लगता है कि ये इन दोनों मुल्कों के मुफाद में है कि ये कश्मीरी लोगों को डिसीजन मेकिंग प्रोसेस में शामिल करे. और मैंने तजवीज़ात दी कि जो आइडियोलॉजिकल पॉलिटिकल फोर्सेस हैं और जो कश्मीरी मिलिटेंट लीडरशिप हैं, उनको पीस प्रोसेस में और डायलॉग प्रोसेस में, जो डिसीजन मेकिंग डायलॉग प्रोसेस हैं, उसमें शामिल करना निहायत ही ज़रूरी है।
Dr. Sudhanshu Trivedi, ideological political forces और militant groups को dialogue process, तो क्या जो ideological political forces ये रिपोर्ट बना रही थी उनकी आइडियोलॉजी आतंकवाद थी कि नहीं?
देखिए, आइडियोलॉजिकल फोर्सेस के बारे में जो आइडियोलॉजी थी, अभी तो सुशील पंडित जी मुजफ्फर बेग के द्वारा ड्राफ्टेड उस स्टेटमेंट के बारे में बता ही चुके हैं, बट मैं अभी इसको रिस्पॉन्स करता हूं। इसमें जो कुछ अतीकुर रहमान ने कहा उसका भी जवाब आ जाएगा और गलती का भी। इन्होंने कहा कश्मीरियत की बात बिल्कुल वाजपेयी जी ने कही थी। कश्मीरियत कहां खत्म हुई जनाब? जब जाकिर मूसा इज ओपनली सेड कि ये कोई कश्मीरियत की लड़ाई नहीं है, ये इस्लामी खलीफत की लड़ाई है। हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू हैव अपोज्ड दिस? वाज कश्मीरियत। And I ask you, you talk about that the past flag of Kashmir. Can you show? अब मुझे जस्ट 4 पिक्चर दिखा दीजिए जिसमें कश्मीर का वो था वाला झंडा हो, और मैं दर्जनों फोटोएं हैं ISIS का झंडा क्यों होता था। What it has to do with कश्मीरियत? पाकिस्तान का झंडा, What it has to do with कश्मीरियत? पाकिस्तान जिंदाबाद, What it has to do with कश्मीरियत? इसलिए हम आपसे कहना चाहते हैं आइडियोलॉजिकल एजेंडा आपने सीमा तक लागू किया, इस सीमा तक लागू किया। अगेन आई एम रिमाइंडिंग द पार्टी प्रेसिडेंट हैज रिटन कि कश्मीर को छोड़ देना चाहिए, अलग हो जाना चाहिए। ये किसका और आइडियोलॉजिकल एजेंडा क्या था? दैट वाज लार्जर कैनवास। नाविका जी, द ईयर्स व्हिच वर शोन इन योर डॉक्यूमेंट आर द सेम ईयर्स इन व्हिच अ कॉन्कॉक्टेड कॉक एंड बुल स्टोरी ऑफ हिंदू टेरर वाज डिवाइज्ड। एक तरफ इस्लामिक जिहादियों के साथ ये कंपैशन और दूसरी तरफ वो कंटेम्प्ट। तो आप समझ सकते हैं कि एजेंडा में कश्मीर वाज जस्ट अ सैंपल एंड पायलट सर्वे एंड मच मच लार्जर डिजाइन वाज देयर। अतीकुर रहमान साहब, मुझे बता दीजिएगा कि ये खिलाफत का क्या लेना देना था कश्मीरियत से, जरा इसका जवाब दे दीजिएगा। लेकिन टुडे all I want to say is, all I want to say tonight is this. Yes, accuse us of being spokespersons of our Kashmiri brothers and sisters. Accuse us of being spokespersons of those who were forced to leave Kashmir. Accuse us of being spokespersons of those who were burnt, gang raped and killed, women and children included. Yes, we will be the spokespersons of all those who never got justice. For 32 years, who have kept these atrocities in their hearts, who have been raising their voices but never raised their arms. Yes, we will be their spokespersons. We will expose these lies, these plots, and this betrayal. We will expose this. And yes, this is about a film that has awakened conscience of millions today in India. Awakened conscience of those today who are now beginning to feel guilty that for 32 years they haven't fought. They haven't fought for justice. So today we won't stay silent. We will fight. We will raise our voices, and we will not give up till justice is delivered. That's a promise on the NewsHour tonight, as I thank my viewers and my panelists. Thank you for joining.